Hello and welcome to not an episode of the Lonely Knitter podcast, but instead today a video all about my experience being a yarn show director. Hi, today is the 1st of April, it is a Tuesday, and my yarn show, East Anglia Yarn Festival, took place on the 15th and 16th of March, so a couple of weeks ago now. And this isn't an April Fool's. I know I'm recording it on the 1st of April, but it's not. So East Anglia Yarn Festival is a yarn show here in the UK. It is in Norwich, which is the closest city to me. So I am in Lowestoft, which is the most easterly town in England. And I'm a yarn dyer. So if you don't know me, my name's Laura. Hi. I've been a yarn dyer for the past 5 and a bit years. 5 years. Before that I made Crafter's Balm, which I still sometimes make, and yeah, I've been a podcaster here on YouTube for even longer as the Lonely Knitter. I have been saying for quite a while that I thought there should be a yarn show somewhere near us, and there wasn't a big festival anywhere near me. Then I started to vend at them and travel around the country and had a great time, and again kept saying, why is there not one near me? A couple of my lovely friends totally listened to me rant about how I wanted to have a yarn show in our local area, and then completely just cheerleaded me along and gave me the courage to set up the show that I had always kind of dreamed of. So now this has just been our 4th year of the show. The first year I held it at the Holiday Inn in Norwich, and then year 2, 3 and 4 were all at the Norfolk Showground. I rent the arena building and we have a huge amount of green space around the outside where we have car parking and food vendors, and yeah. The first year I definitely wanted to set up a show because I wanted to vend somewhere local and no one else was doing it, and I had said quite a few times to quite a lot of people, you should set up a show near Norwich. Yeah, when it didn't happen in the end, I took matters into my own hands, and the first year I had a stand at my own show which my lovely friend Sharon manned for the entire weekend, and was an absolute superstar. But I hadn't had the time to prep for that stand. So my stand, my little business at that show definitely wasn't at its A game, and it made me realise that it was something that I had to kind of separate out. So in the future years I didn't attempt to vend at my own show. I still vend at other people's shows, and I have folk yarn, which is my East Anglian yarn, and I have my hand-dyed yarn, which is the Lonely Knitter, and I have all the other little bits and bobs that I make and sell to try and make a living through my small business. But the show is just not the place for that if I want to make it the best it can be on the weekend. And I think that that was the right decision, because over the past few years the show has grown and grown, and I love it so much, and it gives me a lot in terms of happiness, because I still love to buy hand-dyed yarn from other people, and I love to support other small businesses, and I love the collaboration that can go on in the community and the good feeling and all that. Yeah, it makes me so happy, and I actually really enjoy on that weekend separating out and not having all my hand-dyed stuff there and having a stand in the marketplace and all that, and not having that for the weekend, and instead being able to come in and champion all of these other small businesses and also feel grateful for them wanting to come and work with me. Yeah, it's a really lovely, good feeling. I have seen quite a few videos in the last couple of days on YouTube, and I have had lots of messages and emails from folks who want information about the show, and there's been quite a few questions asked, and there's also been a few things I'd like to clarify. So I thought I would make a video and keep it separate from the podcast, because I do have things, knitting in particular, that I want to talk about, but it will end up being a huge comeback podcast after the few weeks that I've had off surrounding the show. I do have a haul as well. I have things that I bought at the show and things I was given at the show. So I feel like if I do this, my little show video as one, talk about the learning points I had from this year, the fun I had at this year, best parts, worst parts, things like that, and then get back into the podcast in the next couple of days, and it won't leave you guys with a massively long video hitting the channel. So questions that I had that I thought I will clarify here on the YouTubes, because if that question is in someone else's mind, then there's chances that it's in other people's as well, and I'm a sharer on certain things. So yeah, I have a couple of questions. So the first one that I had was, is the show run by the Royal Norfolk Agricultural Association, which is the group that owns and runs the Norfolk Showground and the arena. The RNAA, Royal Norfolk Agricultural Association, I believe they are actually a charitable entity. They run the Norfolk Show, the Royal Norfolk Show, the Norfolk Show, and other massive events that take like huge quantities of people, and they run other things throughout the year. But they also rent out their spaces for private events. So East Anglia Yarn Festival is me. It's not the RNAA. So the way it works is they will rent to me. It is more money than I could have ever thought that I would ever be able to rent something for, but I have built my business to be able to do it. Yeah, it's a lot, but it is all run by me. So people, it's funny, people who managed to get my phone number through the ticket company, or the people who've emailed me through that, and they think that they're speaking to a call centre somewhere. Or yeah, I've had some really nice chats actually with local people who have rung me about things, managed to get my number and rang me, and then have said, I know you'll have nothing to do with the actual event, but can you? And I'm like, no, it's me. So the way it works for me is I did have it separate from my yarn dyeing and my other things, and it all became a little bit unmanageable. So now it's I have one little company that I've set up that's just me, hi, that runs the yarn show, and then also has all of my yarn dyeing and stuff. So I'm still very little, it's still very much a small business, and something that I'm really trying to work hard on and put everything back into, to try and keep the show going, but also keep it hopefully growing and everything. But it's all me. If you're getting an email back, it's me. If you manage to ring through to a number on ticketing queries and things like that, it's me. Yeah, it's not a big business. When you get there on the weekend, people are like, thank you, Laura and team is like the biggest thing I get, and I love that because it is Laura and team. But when you say and team, that is my dad and my husband out in the car park directing traffic. That is my mum and my auntie and my cousin doing the tickets as you come in. That is my lovely group of friends walking around the marketplace directing folk and making sure my vendors are okay. Yeah, it's a family effort to make it all kick off, definitely. I get asked a lot, how did this happen? How did this start? And you can thank my ADHD brain. Yeah, which doesn't always like me, but sometimes we get things right. Yeah, no, it was just a case of I was vending at these things. I knew the things I liked about yarn shows. I knew the things that I don't like about yarn shows. I was also visiting them, so I was going in as a customer. And, you know, I wanted one in our local area, and I have crazy ideas and then run away with them. And sometimes, very rarely, they work out. I get a lot of questions about accessibility at the show. I get a lot of people email me to say, I've heard your show's quite good on accessibility. I send a lot of people the links to my FAQs on the website, which do have all of the details. But yeah, accessibility is a big thing for me. The only thing that I think isn't necessarily accessible about my show is the parking situation, because it is on a green space. It is incredibly flat, and we do have people out there helping people to park. And I do lay out, or my lovely dad and husband do lay out, a very large space for blue badge parking and accessible parking, because it's important to me. The venue itself is accessed via a ramp, and then once you're in the building, it's all on one level. It has accessible toilets. It has 2 toilet blocks. One that they added a new one, and I can pay extra to hire it. So there's a toilet block at the far end of the arena and the first entrance to the arena. So there's one at either side. I put out 2 seating areas, one at either side of the massive arena space, and it is a massive space. Yeah, because I know there's not a lot of people aren't able or would not feel comfortable, and I want you to be comfortable. That's the thing. It's not about whether you can do it, it's about whether or not you feel good doing it. So it's you know, the 100 meters in length, I think, the or just over the actual arena space, and that's a big space. So to be able to have seating at both ends, walk in and be able to have a break, and then walk the length of an aisle, and at the other end stop and have a break, that was quite important to me. So yeah, accessibility. I have a quiet space, lots of seating, accessible loos, no levels, yeah. And I'm just, there's other things. I mean, you know, I give a carer entry to folks who use certain mobility aids. you know, there's only so much I can do in terms of I can't make any adjustments to the building, and you know, at the end of the day, it's a business and I am trying to pull it off. I have to be able to make a living, and technically right now I'm not, but that's because I am putting everything back into the business. So you never know, I might be able to pay myself a proper wage in a few years' time. That'd be nice. But you know, I've got bills to pay and young children and yeah, my family, so I do need to be able to earn a living, and I am doing my absolute best to do that with my creative business. But that's why it's means so much to me when people come to the show, when people talk about the show, when anybody is willing to take a chance on the show for the first time, when folks vend at the show, because every vendor that is putting their money where their mouth is and coming and spending time with us to make our show into something, they're also helping my small business. My small business does not work. My yarn show, my small business does not work without the vendors, because if we didn't have the vendors, the visitors wouldn't come. And I think it's, you know, it's this symbiotic relationship. Is that the word? I don't know. I'm blabbering. So yeah, the best moments of the show for me are seeing it all and it all working and everything going smoothly. But I think I can't really enjoy it until the show is over each year, because I'm in red alert for something to happen the entire time. And I try and think of every single tiny thing that could possibly happen, and I have to write a very detailed event management plan for the arena, and you know, it has risk assessments for the council, and it has, you know, all the things before you become a yarn show organizer that you don't even think about, and you learn them along the way. Yeah, it's been a lot of learning, definitely. Even just stuff like we have St John's ambulance come for our first aid on both the days, and you know, I've had conversations with people and they're like, oh, it's so great, isn't it, that St John's ambulance can send people for things? And I was like, yeah, but I pay them. And they go, what? Because everybody knows that St John's ambulance runs on volunteers, but there's still a cost, and they're still a charity that needs to earn money. You know, it costs me over £500 for 2 days of cover. It's all these little things, and they are vast amounts of money and also lots of brain power. But yeah, it's been a lot. So I've definitely got some learning points from this year. This year Saturday was colder than in previous years, and last year when we had all the people in on the Saturday, the heating wasn't working, I think, at one point anyway, so I couldn't have turned it on, but the Saturday felt warmer even though it was a higher temperature outside this year. But there were people on Saturday saying they were cooler. It is the nature of our building. I mean, people go to Yarndale. I've vended at Yarndale, which is a show that I really enjoy, especially as a visitor. I like that one as a visitor. But you know, that's in a cattle mart where you have open sides to the building, so things do get chilly. So I know people put their knitwear on and it's fine, but I think I might try to get it a little warmer next year. Sunday I was asked to turn the heating off because people were literally sweating. This year, I think as well, we had some issues with the catering inside, so none of that belongs to me. That's independent businesses again, so the food vendors outside and inside are all independent businesses, small businesses that I work with for the weekend. The cafe that we had inside this year has been the same cafe that have been with us since we've been at the arena. They are a local small business and they are lovely and do a great job in their small business. And this year we had a few bumps in the road, and it was a shame. So next year we might look at some options as to how to get more drinks inside. It's difficult because where we have a kitchen there with a water point, we don't have that on the other side of the arena. So there's lots of people who say, oh, you should have drinks over there too, and it's like, I don't have any sinks. I don't have a sink. So there's always, you know, there's lots of things that people like to say, oh, this would be great, and I love that, but then sometimes they infringe on accessibility, and sometimes they just can't happen because things like I don't have water in a certain point, things like that. And I know there's alternatives, and that's why I'm looking into them with businesses that bring their own like water tanks and stuff like that. So I'm learning every year, building on it every year, but I don't think there was anything that went significantly wrong this year. All I can really think is to just say thank yous and thank yous and thank yous and thank yous to everyone that helped make it happen, and hopefully it'll continue to grow. The dates are already up for next year. I will put them on screen, but I've also booked, because we've been there for a little while now, I've managed to get the dates for 2026, 2027 and 2028. So hopefully this continues because I've got dates. So yeah, if you come to East Anglia Yarn Festival and you see a woman looking vaguely panicked running around all the time, don't worry, that's just me. It's normal. I have big anxiety when it comes to the weekend, and I am usually the one who looks a little bit wide-eyed and what's going on, and yeah, I'm usually the one barreling around trying to pop up in every single place and make everything happen. So I think that's one of my big learning points every year is learning to delegate, which is lovely and I want to do, but when you work with volunteers you also want them to have a good time. You know, you want them to have a good time and you want them to enjoy themselves too. I've been able to start branching out. I'm paying for some support from Norfolk Showgrounds, so they get people in on subcontracting basis. So this year I was able to afford to add John to the car park on Saturday morning, the lovely man who the Norfolk Showground let me borrow for the weekend. And then I also had the amazing Sharon in the arena, who was our cleaner for the weekend, and that woman is like a superhero. Like, I will clean toilets, I will clean down tables, I will do any job that needs to be done on the weekend if we need it done. But to be able to pay for a cleaner who is literally a superhero, I have never seen anyone move like her. She was brilliant. And then I had, their names were Tilly and Jodie, who came on the Sunday to help pack away tables and chairs and things like that and get us out so much earlier than last year, which was nice because my lovely parents would do anything for me and they are wonderful, but I think I nearly broke my dad last year and I'd rather not do that. So yeah, it's all about learning to grow the show in a way that can continue to work, continue to get better each year, but also continue to look after itself and not have to break one of my parents. So yeah, when the show's over, all I have is just thank yous and thank yous and thank yous, because I can't really believe it happened, and I don't really enjoy the show while it's going on because I'm in such a high level of stress and trying to remember everything. But afterwards, when I then look back, it's like a little bit of, I can't believe it happened and nothing went wrong and it happened. So yeah, I have all the thank yous. So yeah, my family, my volunteers, the Norfolk Showground, Mike and Gary at the Norfolk Showground, who like look after me throughout the weekend, epic. But then my vendors, because they're amazing and they are what makes this community, and it's their art, and they're so talented and they're so lovely, and half of them are looking after me. I mean, I had a chat with one of the lovely vendors. I won't say their name because I feel like that's a bit mean because it was a chat we had, but one of my lovely vendors, and I had a chat and they were like, we're ready to catch you, like, because I was running around and just barreling about and trying to be everywhere, and she was like, we've all had this conversation, if something goes wrong, we are here ready to catch you and step in. And that's how I feel. It feels like a family. Like last year I had a wisdom tooth infection over the show weekend. I was in agony and I was running around doing everything with either a hot water bottle or a cold metal water bottle against my face, alternating them, and I got so many offers, and I did take them up on it, of painkillers and a rest and a hug and, you know, checking in. And it, for me, you know, they shouldn't have to do that. They're there as my vendors as well, but it is the fact that it feels like a team effort, and that's what makes the show so amazing for me, because it makes me feel part of a community. And as someone who has dealt with anxiety and dealt with, you know, my ADHD and dealt with overthinking and all the things throughout the years, being part of that community and feeling like I have a role somewhere and belong somewhere is it's worth more than anything to me, and means a lot. So thank you to my lovely vendors, because you're epic, and then my visitors. Without you guys it wouldn't work either. Without you guys coming and supporting those small businesses. You know, we had a small business travel from Norway this year, we had a small business travel from Ireland this year, they're all over the UK, you know, coming down from Scotland, and yeah, you guys turned up to support them, and I can't thank you enough. So if you came to my show this year, thank you so much. So after the show I come home in a bit of a state. Last year I crashed for about a month. Every year so far I've crashed for about a month. This year I had to come straight back into work the next day because I am at the studio now, so I'm not working in my house, and I think that really helped me get back into work. But I had a lot of work that had stacked up whilst I ran up to the show, so I was in full steam coming straight back in here, unpacking everything and getting back to shipping out clubs and getting everything done on those. So yeah, I haven't really had a break and I'm very tired, but it's a good kind of tired, and I'm already planning for next year, booking things for next year. Yeah, it's been a lot, and re-entry has been hard this year, but productive, which I think has made me feel mentally better. My best / worst moment after the show is it's not worse, it's hilarious. So my best funny moment after the show was when one of my lovely yarn dyer friends let me know that their favourite part of the moment was the bit where I was out in the car park on Instagram talking about the blue badge parking, talking about parking in general on Instagram, and I did the captions, the auto captions, and I'd probably been speaking a bit too fast, and I had my dental plate in, so I'm still getting used to that, and I'm a little bit lispy. And yeah, I will put in a picture of what the auto caption thing thought I said, because I didn't check it all over because I was running straight back into the show. But I did not say blue badge parking according to Instagram. I said blue vag parking. So yeah, that's one I won't forget. I've been asked. I've had so many people ask me what the best bits are of running a show, and one of the other bits, actually, I'd say that is one of the best things, is other yarn show organisers. So not all yarn show organisers are community focused in terms of other shows, and that's totally fine if you want to stand aside that, or you just aren't interested in getting involved. That's you, and that's not a bother at all, and nobody has to be in anyone's space that they don't want. But yeah, I have wonderful organisers of other shows that end at my show. So this year we've got, as with last year as well, Diana from the Crochet Chain, who runs Waltham Abbey Wool Show. It's one of the nicest shows going, and I would recommend it to anyone. It's a January show, and it's usually on a Sunday, so it's a one-day show. Really lovely little show. I say little show, like they're a big show, but because it's one day. And then I have the Knitting for Fun lovely folk, who run a couple of shows still up north, and other people. I love, one of the shows I love as well is Glasgow School of Yarn. Glasgow is a really nice show and has this wonderful vibe, and the organisers and the volunteers are just the nicest folk, and they again make you feel like you're part of a community, and they come down to visit at our show, and I get a sense of belonging. And also, when I am in that crazed getting everything done panic, I see these people throughout the weekend, and they're people that I know get it, and that is, yeah, I get it from the other yarn show vendors as well, and I'm sure I've missed somebody who runs a show or doesn't, and I'll feel awful, and I'm so sorry because my brain is still literally in bits. But having those people who just understand and know, it's really meaningful for me and lovely, and I'm a soppy cow. So I also got asked a lot about our bags. So I do, actually I'll put them over here. I get an artist to make me up. I get an artist, that sounds really horrible. I have a lovely artist that I work with every year to make a image for the show, and she absolutely knocks it out the park every year. I give her a very awful sketch, and then I pay her to create the image, and I pay her for the commercial rights to the image. And yeah, so I have my big bags again, which I do every year, which are a wide gusset bag. Some people colour them in, some people stitch them in. I love it when people come and show me the bags that they have done. This one is my one of this year's bag. The small lunch bags that I usually do, which I've been doing for the last few years. Or have I been doing them since the start? Can't remember. Those weren't available. Well, I ordered them, but they got stuck in customs. And this one has a great big dirty mark on it because it's mine, and I've been barreling around with it. But it meant that I switched out to these bucket bags at the last minute, and I love them. And they have a magnetic snap, so I am definitely going to try and get these back for a future year because they're wonderful. I'm hoping for next year as well, we'll see. And yeah, they have the big bottom as well, and I think these are going to be in my advent this year, but not in this colour. Maybe, fingers crossed, if I can get it to happen. But yeah, I have bags. There's just all the little things that you have to think about, and I loved past tense, I love our illustration from this year, because my dirty one, but Hannah did an absolutely amazing job, and I will show you, in fact I'll put it on the screen, the awful thing I sent her, which was basically just pictures and scribbles and things stuck on things, and then this is what she did with it. So yeah, I feel like I found some really amazing people to be able to work with to make the show happen. Oh, and I also have been asked quite a lot since the show about podcaster bags. Now, one of the questions I actually had was, did I give myself a podcaster bag? Which I did not. So podcasters have always been able to apply, it's just a little Google form on the run up to the show, to have a podcaster lanyard, which you don't have to have, but it just sort of confirms that you're allowed to be filming there If you are nervous filming as well, it's, you know, gives you like something to wear to show that it's all good. The show said it's all good. You're not affiliated with the show, you don't work for the show, and it's very clear in there and on the form. Yeah, I don't gift them entry or anything like that. It's not a thing to make people come. It's very much if you're coming and you're buying a ticket and you would also like to film while you're here and you would like to have a purple podcaster lanyard, doesn't give you any special privileges other than helps you to be identifiable as a podcaster. But it's also really nice because if there's folks walking around and they spot someone and they're like, is that this person from this podcast? And they don't want to go up and say hi in case it's not. When they see that they're wearing a podcaster lanyard, they go, oh yeah, and then they go and have a chat. So it's just a fun little extra. But it's also, you know, if anybody ever said, oh, why are you filming? Then you can go, I'm a podcaster. Yeah, it's a very chill thing. But I have always wanted to do some sort of podcaster pack. Podcaster packs, though, are something that I've always wanted to do, but never really been able to land on what exactly I wanted to do, and it's been the thing that's fallen by the wayside. So for me, it was to give the podcasters that come along and are filming and then going to put things on YouTube a little thank you for doing that at my event, because I appreciate it and it's you know, it means a lot to me. But it's also does the same thing for all of the vendors. So if people are coming and they're walking around, they're videoing the vendors and they put that online, other folks might find them that hadn't thought they'd find them before. And yeah, I basically gave my businesses the opportunity to put something in if they wanted to. So there was never any obligation for any of my vendors to put anything in. But I gave one of the previous year's tote bags, so it wasn't this year's tote bag, but I just took one of the previous years that I had and I popped in a skein of my folk yarn, and we had our show guide, which I haven't got one here. Why did I not bring one? Yeah, one of our little show pin badges, which I do have here, so I popped one of those in, and then I put in anything that the vendors wanted to put in. So some people gave us enough to put in like every bag, and some people brought us like one thing, and we put it in one bag. So some of the bags were different, and yeah, it was just a little bit of fun. It was never meant to be anything other than that. And then all of my podcasters got a little email to say there'd be a little something. It's not payment for anything. It's very much a sort of nice way to be able to do a little bit of, well, advertising, I suppose, but get the word out about small businesses if they wanted to, but also that they had no obligation to take the bag. They could leave it if they wanted, but they don't have to keep those things if they want to give them away. They're fine to do that as well. Run giveaways on their channel, anything like that really. It's a bit of fun, a bit chill, just, you know, a nice way to try and share the love in terms of the small businesses that we have come and join us. So I don't know if it'll happen again in future years. It's more we'll see as we go, and if vendors liked doing it and want to jump in again, but ultimately it's something I tried this year. I did not keep one for myself. I did have someone ask me that. I wouldn't have anyway. I think there's a bit of a crossover there. I think as much as I could have then shared them and talked about them, ultimately I don't want my vendors to feel like they had to give me something. They've already paid to vend at the show, and yeah, I just gives me a bit of an ick. That's not something I would ever want to do. Yeah. So yeah, podcaster applications will be up again on the run up to next year's show. It's very chill. I'm not guaranteeing anything in terms of podcaster bags. If you get them, it's very much a sort of surprise on the run up, and there may also be a limited amount. We did have a couple of people who signed up to be a podcaster on the weekend, and that might have been on me. I should have maybe closed the applications a little bit before, but I did have spare lanyards, so I could still give a lanyard to anyone who signed up last minute. But obviously I didn't have more podcaster bags because we've made those in advance. So yeah, it wasn't a case of everyone got one. It was just what we had, we gave out to the folks that had applied. So I said I was already on a prep for next year. This year we had our Makealong, and we normally bring that out in sort of October, November-ish time, where we get our lovely, mainly Instagram followers to suggest things they want. So we usually choose from like a cardigan or a shawl or a jumper, or it has to be a bigger item, and then we get the yarn and we make it and then take it to the show, wear it, show it off, and you can collect your free ribbon award from the entrance if you have made the item. Pin it to yourself, wear it, take it home, whatever you want to do. This year again our Makealong was sponsored by the little grey girl. That is the lovely Gem. She sponsored the Makealong ribbons, which were lovely big orange ribbons, and you got a bulb pin with them to pin on. And we had the Daft Days cardigan for the knit pattern, and then we had the Magnus cardigan for the crochet pattern. I attempted and failed at the Makealong again. I'm really rubbish at completing the Makealong. I am naff at it. And so I want to try and fix that for next year. So this week, not today, I was going to post it yesterday, had things going on with my kiddos and couldn't get it done. And then I thought I was going to post it today and realised it's the 1st of April and I'm not going to do it on the 1st of April in case everyone thinks it's an April Fool's. But tomorrow I will be posting to start the process off of us nominating and voting for the patterns for both crochet and knitting for next year's Makealongs. That was another thing I actually had some queries about on the weekend as well. One person had said to my mum, that this is a visitor to the show, so if you're watching, hi, had said to my mum that the knitting pattern was a paid for pattern and the crochet pattern was a free pattern, and that's not fair. Ultimately, they are nominated and voted for by our social media supporters, so it isn't something that I actually have a hand in there. But also it wasn't a free pattern from both of them. I did buy both the patterns, even though I knew I would only be able to make one of them. And I feel very good about supporting independent designers this year. You know, 2 women who have worked hard to make a career within this industry, and I have absolutely no problem with paying for the patterns. The fact that one of them chooses to give away some content for free is incredibly generous and lovely of them. This, you know, I run it for free. I don't make any money from having the Makealong. I don't have any partnership with the designers, and I don't charge for the ribbons. I have that cost covered by somebody who gets advertising for that. So it doesn't necessarily cost me money that I have to pay out for a product. However, it does cost me a lot of hours that I could put into other things. I choose not to. I want there to be free fun extras. I like that there's free fun extras, but that's always going to be a knit and a crochet pattern that are going to be selected by the community, and it's not going to be a free option every time, because I want to support independent designers. It's whatever we vote for, and I think it's great if we can support independent designers. One of the other questions around the Makealong was somebody who'd asked my mum again on their way out, had said that we'd lost an opportunity because we should have had a stand dedicated to the knit pattern and we should have another stand dedicated to the crochet pattern within the marketplace. I'm not going to do that. I don't have anyone to man it. We take pictures throughout the weekend. I don't really know how you would do that. I mean, the designers themselves didn't come to the show. They're not vendors at the show. This is done very much independently. It's not any kind of advertising paid for thing that people can get into. I want it to be fair and fun and yeah. And I wouldn't know how to go about having a stand dedicated to a pattern which is the intellectual property of a designer who isn't at the show. We have pattern designers at the show who pay to vend with us, who come along on a pattern designer stand, and it's great if you go in there, support them, and if the pattern designers who happen to also be the Makealong pattern options for this year then chose to come and become pattern designer vendors at the show, that would be lovely and no problem at all. But I already advertised those 2 designers' patterns in our show guide, talk about them on our social media channels and all that. That isn't something that costs them anything, because this is all voted for by you guys, chosen by you guys. So yeah, I'm good with it how it is at the moment, I think. So yeah, we're gonna start the process of choosing the Makealong patterns probably this week. The Big Stitch Night is something else I was going to talk about. So the Big Stitch Night is the Friday night charity event that I run. It was the last year of me running the Big Stitch Night. I had a great time and there were no hiccups, nothing went wrong, but the show weekend is a lot. It's a lot for my family, but it's a lot for me. I get to the showground early on the Friday morning, spend the morning crawling around on the arena, marking out more than 80 spaces with tape, using tape measures. I mean, the space is so big and I'm exhausted, my body is in bits. Then at around lunchtime, just after lunch, we let the vendors in to set up, and then I have to kick my vendors out around 6ish, and then run off to the golf club to start setting up for the Big Stitch Night. I have loved making money for charity. Last year we raised money for Histiocytosis UK in memory of one of our lovely friends. The year before that we raised money for East Anglia Children's Hospices. That was a charity voted for by our social media followers, by you guys. And then this year we raised money for Lighthouse Women's Aid, who are a local charity. They're based in Ipswich, I believe, and they help support women and children, families escaping from domestic abuse and rebuilding their lives, which is a really, really good cause, and again chosen by our lovely social media supporters. This year we made £1,165.50 for charity, and I am very happy about that. That is money raised from a portion of the ticket sales from the event, from the raffle at the event, and also some of the mini skeins that you get as part of your ticket entry. I set aside money to pay for those, and the wonderful people who gave the mini skeins, so some of them were from me, some of them were from the little grey girl, some of them were from the crafty bird, and some of them were from Castview Yarns. They sent those to me, and that money that I had set aside to pay them for those, that also went into the charity pot. So that's happened each year. It's a team effort from everyone to raise the money for the charity, but on the night, that's again me there until not far off midnight, and then getting back to, I stay at the Premier Inn because I'm about an hour's drive from the event, so I stay at the Premier Inn opposite the showground on the weekend, get back there, and then I have to be over to open up the arena for, is it 6 this year? 6 or 7, can't remember. I did 6 previous years, but I have to be back early to open up the arena for vendors to do final setup, which my lovely family joined me for that, so I'm never on my own over there or anything like that. But it's a lot on all of us, and I'm exhausted and struggling, and I don't want to lose the show because I'm not like supporting myself around all the other things. So I'll find another way to do something lovely for charity at the show. But I have also had some lovely conversations already with some of the small Norwich-based small businesses and yarn dyers and other folk about setting up a fringe event that I won't run myself, but is still in aid of charity. And maybe I get to go as a visitor, because that would be amazing. There's been a lot of reasons really as to why I was leaving it. We had, I know this is public knowledge, I've spoken about it a few times, but there was a large amount of money went missing last year, which I put back in out of my own pocket so that the charity wouldn't be out money, because that's the right thing to do and it's my responsibility. But I think that's something I'm never going to be able to get over, and yeah, I think that's going to ruin my enjoyment of it forever. And then that on top of the fact that I'm tired, and on top of the fact that I have to ask my lovely friends to help volunteer at that again so that we can raise the money for the charity, which they do willingly, and you know, but it's a lot of organisation, and yeah, I think it's just something I'm trying not to break, and I think I need to pull back on that one. But as I said, I have no problem with fringe events for charity, and I am already in the works chatting to people and saying, making sure they know, hey, if you want to think of some ideas, because yeah, I think that it's grown so much. There are so many people that come, so many people who stay. I mean, the Airbnbs fill up locally, the hotels fill up locally, like people are staying in the city centre. It's getting bigger and bigger, and I think fringe events would be lovely. So this is a very jumbled video. My brain is all over the place. I'm so sorry. But onto the haul. So I was gifted some lovely things from some lovely people. I also bought a few things. I will say, when I go to my own show, I don't expect anybody to ever gift me anything. They're all small businesses. They've all paid to be there. I think I work pretty hard for my show, and so I should, because if I want my small business to... I'm sorry about the seagulls, if you can hear them, they are loud today. I am right by the sea. So I have an absolutely amazing haul from this year's show. I bought some bits, I was given some bits, some of the bits are for me, some of the bits I have kept for you guys, for future giveaways on the podcast. So the first thing I'm going to show you actually is something that was given to me as I was going out of the show. My lovely friend Jess of Skein the Stitch, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, gave me... not focusing today, there we go, gave me this beautiful candle, and it is the Painting the Roses Red candle, and you can't smell it, and I wish you could, because it is amazing, and I've been saving it to show you, but now I'm going to take it home where I'm going to burn it, because I don't burn candles at the studio because I'm scared of the fire sensors thingies, smoke detectors, that's the word. My brain isn't working. But yeah, this absolutely beautiful candle from Skein the Stitch in a glass jar. It's lovely, it's beautiful, and I'm going to take it home now. I had popped these gorgeous micros. So these, ooh, can we see it? There we go. These gorgeous micro skeins from the lovely Helen of Giddy Yarns, my lovely friend Helen, who comes all the way down from Scotland to vend with us. These 10-gram micros, so they're her 6 10-gram mini skeins. I call them micros when they're 10 grams, minis when they're 20s obviously. And they're 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon in the Winded and the Willows colourways. and I'd spotted them and thought, oh my gosh, they're so cute, and went and popped them on her chair, because she knows if I put something on her chair when I'm coming in the morning, she knows it's always me. And when I went over, she wouldn't let me pay for them because she is an absolute sweetheart, but also very naughty. But yeah, so minis, and these were the only minis I got this show weekend. I don't have time to shop at the show. I run around like a crazy person in the last like 30 minutes. Sometimes even during pack up, and just go, can I have that? Because I suddenly realised right at the very end that I hadn't had a chance to shop. And then this is the other thing I was gifted. So I went to buy this from the lovely Josie Rose. I'm obsessed with these bags. So it's like a tie-dye bag. I can't remember. My brain is actual mush. But she uses this vinyl, hand inside, and then they are snappers. I've got awful nails at the moment, please ignore them. So yeah, it's a Josie Rose. There's the little card. I very much recommend them because I love these bags, and I've got a few of them. And then when I went to grab it, she wouldn't let me pay for it, which is incredibly sweet. Josie Rose is a Norwich-based business as well, so local to our show. So yeah, special as well. And I love these elasticated straps as well. So yeah, another little project bag. Then I also have, let me go into the things that I got for you guys. So I bought this beautiful skein of Pigment and Ply in the colourway Leila. Is that how you say that? Leila? Pigment and Ply. It's so pretty. Can we see that? There we go. It's so pretty. And this is 80% superwash merino, 20% silk, 2-ply high twist. It's fingering weight, 365 meters per 100 grams. So that's going into my cupboard for podcast prizes. And I also grabbed this beautiful skein from Chromatic Yarns, which I am going to pop into my podcast cupboard, and it is in the Critical Hit colourway in Sturdy DK, which is 100% superwash BFL blue faced Leicester, 225 meters, 200 grams. So this one. And then I bought one other thing for you guys, which is this. I love these. I love these. This is the project planner from Tilly Flop. So these, I'll just give you a little sneak peek of one of the pages inside, but it's these project pages, and I have one of these, and I'm using one of these, and I love these. Yeah, so I have one that I bought myself and I'm using, and I thought I would buy one to go into the podcast bits for you guys. Okay, onto the bits for me. I've still got so much to get through. Okay, let me start with these. So the absolutely amazing Hannah at the Corner of Craft, Chromatic Yarns, had made these fishies and these dinos, and I'm pretty sure that the dino was the one I wanted last year, but now I'm doubting myself. There we go. But they had sold out, and then I found this. I was like, it's a fish. Love it. So I grabbed those two. I love Hannah's stitch markers. And then I grabbed this little ball, which is a little bit worse for wear actually. The tag came off because it was in my bag. Of self-striping yarn from, in the mini rainbow self-stripe from All Wool That Ends Wool. You see that? There we go. Because it was calling my name because it's so pretty. Then I got this. It's knotted by Nish, and it is worsted weight singles, 100 grams, 220 meters. And it is the bubblegum colourway, and it is 100% superwash merino. Oh my gosh, look at that. So that is probably going to be a hat, even though it is singles. I don't care. It's going to be a hat for my little girl. It's going to be very soft, and she's going to love it. Knotted by Nish. We had lots of like chunky yarn as well, which was really lovely. And then I wanted a sweaters quantity, and I was running around in my craziness towards the end, and I grabbed these 4 skeins of fingering weight from Skein the Stitch again. So these 4 from my lovely friend Jess, and the Billows Smooth and Bright plush sock, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 425 meters per 100 grams. It's beautiful. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to live in a long-term stash. This is from my retirement fund. I'm never going to be able to afford to retire. We had this conversation on Discord the other day. I was like, yeah, that doesn't happen anymore, right? But it's extra level of insulation in my house until I decide what I'm going to make with it. I don't have any plans. It's just pretty and I wanted it. I might be a yarn dyer, but I have a lot of yarn from friends that I just want. I also bought 2 skeins from the lovely Selena of Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. These ones have also been in my bag, so they're a little bit pulled about. Here we go. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. I don't know what they're going to be. I haven't got a clue. I just grabbed them as I was running around in my last crazy moment. In fact, I think I did buy these ones after the show had shut. So this is Bane of My Existence. I love it. I love it. I love that name. Bane of My Existence. Regency Romance DK. 50% superwash merino and 50% silk. 100 grams is 200 meters. So I have 2 skeins, so 400 meters of DK to decide what to do with. I feel like this needs to happen soon. I really want something. I don't know what, but I want something. I grabbed a sock set. Now this one I originally, not gonna lie, did grab this one for you guys, and then it kept staring at me. So I decided to grab another skein, which is the one from Pigment and Ply, so that I could still have something else to give you guys. So if I can part with it, it might end up in the podcaster thing, but I did find something else for you guys. So this is, it says week 4, so I'm guessing it was part of an advent, and it was the Dwarf Seahorse sock set. It is so beautiful. And it is from the Dye Shack. And it is stunning. So pretty. I don't know what it's going to be. It's just my colours and I love it, so yay. And it's, yeah, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, soft twisty sock, 4-ply, 425 meters from the Dye Shack. Then, and this is really naughty, because I already have a 50 gram skein pack from Pixie Yarn from last year that I haven't made anything with yet, but this just called my name, and I didn't know what to do. I could not leave it. It was actually, there was 2 that called my name, and I was very good and only got 1. So I actually need to do something with one of these before next year's show, otherwise I can't buy anything next year. That's my new rule. So this is I'll Be Your Mermaid from Pixie Yarn. It's 5 50 gram sock skeins, 75% merino, 25% nylon, and it's beautiful, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I love it. And then the last thing I had, which is at the bottom of the pile, is this beautiful bag from Pigment and Ply. I love these bags. I've talked about these before on my podcast. I absolutely love Jess's bag. She gets them printed. She draws and designs all this herself, colours it all herself. Like, that is completely her artwork, which is amazing. And then gets them printed on this velvet, which I have a real thing about this fabric. Yeah, I love it. It's a real sensory treat. So I saw it and was like, that's mine, right at the beginning of the weekend when she was on her stand, put it underneath her stand, and then forgot about it right until Sunday when I was running around like a crazy thing and buying the stuff that I wanted. So I have majorly treated myself, and I can't buy anything for a very long time, and I need to knit through all of this stuff because I definitely spent out. But I was in panic mode, so that's probably why. Anyway, oh, the only other thing that I didn't share was the badges. I had these made just before the show. If you can see, there we go, for the podcast, Not So Lonely Knitter Club. And I did see a few of you lovely folk came and said, you watched my podcast, I gave you a badge. That I was running around with my silly little my sheep little bag that my lovely friend Jess had made that was full of badges. So yeah, it was a lot again, and I'm already working on next year and trying to dye yarn and pay the bills to get through to it. Yeah, it was a lot, and it was brilliant, and I had such a good time, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for everybody who has supported my small business and supported the show through, yeah, everything. It's been a lot, and I'm just one person, but I am so unbelievably grateful for everyone that believes in me enough to be able to do this with me, and I love you guys because it's a really awesome thing, and you guys are awesome. So yeah, it's probably the biggest thing when it comes to feeling like not such a lonely knitter anymore. When you run a yarn show and more than 2,000 people turn up and all these lovely vendors. Yeah, it was amazing. I've just remembered this one as well. Lots of people said the marketplace was bigger this year, and I would just like to confirm that it was not bigger. I spaced things out a little bit differently and moved things down a little and made sure I still kept my seating places. And a few people had slightly larger stands, but I kept the amount of vendors the same. It's a fine line. I want to not take up all that seating space with vendors because I think actually it's important to keep that space. And obviously all of my vendors are there and trying to make a living, and if you put more vendors into that space, you're splitting up that footfall. So yeah, I'm not sure I'm ready to grow, not just yet anyway. Hello, Laura from the future. I have just been editing the video and realised that my neighbours were having a conversation through that wall in their staff room just when I was talking at the very end of my video. So just for their privacy and for my video, I am going to re-record that very last little bit just to say thank you so much if you've got all the way through this video with me, and just for supporting my channel and my small business by watching my content at all. If you are up for giving me a thumbs up and a subscribe, all those things, comments, whatever, I would be eternally grateful. And if you wanted to leave me an emoji at the end of the video, leave me an emoji that you think makes, like, it looks like someone's tired. You know, I always go for that one that looks like there's a face melting into the ground because I'm knackered, and it'll be a bit of fun. Anyway, thank you so much, as always, for making me so much less of a lonely knitter.